going to be a video showing you how to get a solo master Nightfall done this week on the Glassway, getting the platinum rank, as it is double loot this week. For those that just want to see this, then skip to time on the screen. For the rest of you, I can show you what I was using. So this video is dedicated to people who do not have the exotic grenade launcher ANARCHY, which people are still working on to get that. If you haven't, of course, by getting the chest solo to get the Spoils of Conquest. You should be doing this every week. If you're not, start this week to do it. When you get to 240, 250, something like that, whatever it is, you can then go and buy ANARCHY. But in the meantime, how do you do things, difficult things, without that weapon? Well, it is the best weapon in the game, but there are other great weapons in the game. This setup's going to be, in my eyes, the best way to do it, the best character, and the best setup to do it if you don't have ANARCHY. Especially this week, because the modifier is on Togetherness, meaning there's no health regen. So Warlock is always the best because it's our healing class. Always the best choice whenever there's a mod on like this. If this modifier wasn't on, a hunter would be the best choice, but no, the Warlock is. That's why we're redoing it again on a Warlock, but this setup's different to what I done the previous one, and more people can use this setup. I'll sort of tell you what I've got on. I can't tell you everything in one go. People said, "Oh, I'll explain your loadouts at the start." Can't. I'll be here 20 minutes. I'll detail what's on it, and then we show in the run how them perks are benefiting me. Okay, so that's literally it. So your Stasis, we've got Stasis on. We've got a Healing Rift. You want Duskfield Grenade, which I'll explain why I put that on. In terms of the fragments, this is what I like to set up. I'm not a Stasis expert. I barely use Stasis, but this is just what I had on. A Whisper of Hedrons because you get a weapon damage buff. We have Whisper of Refraction because we get class ability energy, which is Rift for the Warlock, when killing slowed or frozen targets. Then we get Whisper of Durance, which to me just gonna help out when we're stunning champions, which you have to stun a lot of them. So I just put this one out. I like it. It improves the Duskfield Grenade. I just like that. And then we've got Whisper of Bonds, so we get super energy when we're killing frozen targets. I also like this a lot because we get my super more often, and the super on the Warlock Stasis is really good. So for our setup, we've got the exotic helmet on the Stag. Whenever you are hindered with health regeneration in a run, in anything you're doing, put on this. It's the best helmet to use because when you get one shot, you get Rift energy back. If you run maximum recovery, that's infinite healing Rift. Put it on. It's the best exotic to use. Forget about any other build that you're thinking about doing. This is better than that. So be using it for this type of activity. In terms of modifiers, armor mod, sorry, we've got a Charge of Light build on. Just because we can't utilize cells, so just the regular old take and charge high energy fire. I've actually got too many charged ups on. You only need one charge up and a supercharge. I've got one additional on that I didn't need. Obviously I've got the anti-barrier pulse. I've got a pulse rifle loaded on just to make this pulse a bit better because it's not the best in terms of killing adds, but it's got over utility. Then on our chest plate we've got a void damage resistance, a concussive dampener. The boots and the helmet and all that stuff, they're just weapon perks. So Grain Launcher Scavenger, Pulse Rifle Scavenger, just things to help us out. Okay? And then lastly, Surgery, Ephemeral Overload. These are seasonal artifact mods. And what do they do? Well, every time you stun a champion with your nade, you get your nade back. So it's an infinite way of stunning champions over and over and over. This works with Solar or Stasis. Okay? I wouldn't recommend doing... but you can't do Spores of War because we haven't got an overload weapon on. So we have to do this setup. Okay? This loadout does not require to have a lot of heavy though. So that's the gist of it really. Weapons, the exotic grain launcher Witherhoard, the pulse rifle, which it needs to be arc because there's enemies at the end that have arc shields. You must have an arc primary on. You've got two choices. You have to use Infinite Paths or Giant 7. And then we've got a heavy grain launcher on. If you can get one with spike grenades and auto-load holster, that's amazing. If you want to use a sword, you could probably make that work. But I just think a grenade launcher is really good for the way I do it. So any good grenade launcher that you have with spike grenades and auto-load holster, use it. That's the setup. As I was saying, this is my second run. I done the first run on a Warlock as well, a Radiance ANARCHY type loadout. But I recognise that people don't have this gun, some people don't. So this is going to be the best next thing compared to that. So I'll try to describe exactly what I'm doing. The enemy spawns, which is so important at the boss and all that stuff, but We're going to sparrow up to this rock here and do a Witherhoard straight away. Why are we doing that? Well, because it's going to spawn kill all the, well, a lot of the ads. Quickly. We're going to stay with that. Now this video isn't going to be me getting 100k because to be honest, I end up losing the fight. This loadout isn't fast. It's slow. A cell build is way quicker, but I can't use cells. Because there's no way we're going to do it with an SMG when we need to take a lot from distance. And Togetherness is on. If Togetherness wasn't on, then yeah, maybe, but that's why we're using Charge of Light instead. It's slow but consistent, easy. As you can see here with this champ, we can just keep stunning him, we'll get our nade back. We also get a damage boost because of the Whisper of Hedrons. Like I said, make sure you put it on. Now Witherhoard with this combination is very good because what's happening there is the stasis, the nade's slowing the enemy down, the champ, but he is still sort of regenerating his health, but Witherhoard's fighting that. And if you can get maybe a body shot and a shot on the floor, Witherhoard can double tick at that point, then you're gonna outweigh his health regen. But obviously try to nade every time, which I'll explain more when I start doing more champs. Now the fallen overloads are harder than the Vex ones, just because of where we are situated. At the boss we have a good place to stand. For the fallen captains, they're going to do what they do best, just teleport left to right. So you've got to time when you're doing your nade, because if you miss a nade, that's it, you've got to wait for your nade back. Okay? Now I haven't got anything on my armor to assist that, because we have Surgery Ephemeral Overload on our class armors. We can't put on Bomber. We can't put on Enhanced Bomber. I would like to, but we can't. So you've got to make sure it counts when you do that. So each overload you have to be careful with. Obviously, generally I would recommend a scout, but we're using Witherhoard. So with this section we want to take out all the melee ads, which they'll jump up to this cliff area. So with this section right here, we need to take the overload from where we're standing. Why do we need to do that? Well, because if we push up, the anti-barrier will get us. Now, what you saw there was me waiting patiently to get a stun. Now, I was watching what he was doing, because these overloads, they're RNG as they are, but there's patterns to them as well. They'll go left to right, left to right. When they start doing that sort of thing, when they teleport left, get ready with your grenade, and then when they get teleported to the right side, nade them. It's like as soon as, and then they won't teleport out your nade. Yeah? It's a consistent way of getting the overload. Once you get the overload on them, it's a done deal, because then you get your nade back and you can continually overload them and you're good. So that's just how you sort of want to deal with that. And it just means that when we do actually get to this area, we haven't got an overload to worry about because it's already killed. And anti-barriers are a cinch with the loadout that I've got. If you can get this pulse rifle with a disruption break, keep it. If you ever get, always look at your giants, because it's the only arc pulse in the loot pool. The loot pool's that bad, there isn't any other arc pulse rifle. There's another thing, there's people using solar blue scout rifle for Master Nightfalls. Are you telling me there's no solar scout rifles? There's a raid one, right? But why is there no well drop solar scouts? The game's in bad shape, I'm not gonna lie, and I thought this DLC was very good, but the thing is, all the weapons are in the game, they're just sunset, because they're hellbent on sunset. Bring back all the old weapons like Mananan and what have you, all them sort of weapons, and just stick a 14-10 power level on them. Sorted. Bring a ton of weapons into the game, that's all they need to do, but they won't. They're going to gradually let the loot pool go up over season, and it'll gradually get better. They don't want to do a quick fix. They just want to sort of wait over time. So that's how it's going to be until we get more weapons. So whatever season it is, be sure what you know looking at. So if it's an SMG season or if it's a sidearm season, keep all the sidearms you're getting and check their roll and everything. But with this room, it's the same as the previous room. So we want to be taking out all the ads before we push up. We definitely need the overload down before we push up as well. As you can see, my exotic Stag helmet nearly departed proc, and it just means I'm going to get more rift energy. You'll see it better when I've actually used my rift and it procs. The idea here is to use Witherhoard and just take the mini boss from a distance, which is easy done. So we can just use our pulse, our grain launcher, anytime we get one shot, we'll get the rift energy, and then we can, pop that. We've got him double ticking there, that's good. He should die, he should burn out. Then when we're good there, all the adds are down just about. So now what we want to do is analyse this overload. I've pushed this rock. Don't go any further than this rock and find out what this champ's going to do. So I just want to get him to where he starts doing the left and right teleport, which he's doing it. We'll do a healing to prepare for that. And then there. Easy enough as long as you wait patient. It's a patience game. Like if I was just to go in there and do a nade at the wrong time, you're going to miss your nade. He's not going to teleport back into your nade. Very unlikely. So I like to melt him down with some heavy. With my heavy GL and the Witherhoard combination, just to get rid of him. And then when we're done with that, we'll pop a super and we'll just focus adds. We'll focus the adds because the even though the servitors, the anti-barriers, they do void, they're not threatening. So we take out all the adds with the super, then we get a Witherhoard shot, swap. Obviously it's got catalyst, so it reloads itself, and then disruption break on the pulse. Buffs Witherhoard 50%. This combination alone means that heavy is not needed as much as usually would be. That's why this loadout's so good, because obviously special ammo and primary ammo drop more frequently than heavy. We can't put Spores of War on because of the setup, so this is a perfect blend. The Witherhoard Arc Pulse Disruption with Stasis, because it ticks with a lot of boxes. Overloads, yes, as long as you get the stun, yeah, you're good to go. Range, the pulse is decent, got range finder and what have you. And DPS, Witherhoard. And then the heavy grain launcher to burst, to provide additional burst damage if needed at any time. So this whole loadout ticks everything. That's why I'm not using something like Izanagi's Burden, because Izanagi's Burden is good at a couple of things, but not everything. Witherhoard's good at everything. It's not good at burst damage like Izanagi's is. But we don't need that much burst damage, we just need the damage over time. We need plenty of ammo, and Witherhoard's ammo capacity goes very far in the game. We're going to try and get a stun here. I believe I do get the stun, or yeah, I end up getting. So I was kind of lucky there, but at the same time unlucky, because he was sort of in that nade and he wasn't stunning, but he walked back into it. So the idea of this is to get a stun on the champ and then strafe left and right. But I've just remembered I end up actually losing the stuns on the champ because I was getting sniped a lot. So you want to try to take out the snipers first, okay? Ideally. So we're going to have to wait on that nade, but we've got other things to do while we're waiting. So we can sort of start doing damage. Now the reason why I don't go down here too much is because the Stasis boss will throw his Stasis nades, which are Duskfield nades, same thing that we've got. But if the boss is below half HP or a third, he won't do that. He's less likely to do that. So we can push up to this rock, which is a better angle, because we can get any snipers that are not killed, like so, and we can just do damage with Witherhoard as long as your shot's on point and stuff. You can at least get one on the floor or to the body, even better, but that's ideally what you want to do. The boss is slow moving, so you can take time to judge your shot. It's not its strongest point right now, Witherhoard, for this bit, but it pays dividends at the boss. That's where it shines the most. Because you've got, like I said, 28 champions to kill in total for the whole run. 16 champions at the boss fight alone. You have to clear all the ads. You have to clear all the champions, etc, etc. Now I could have ran, actually I couldn't have ran special armor special ammo finisher because of the Surge Eater thermal overload, so we can't run that. But because we've got GL ammo finder on and GL scavenger perks, we're gonna get plenty of ammo. I'm never really running out of reward, and if I am, there's a brick on the floor somewhere. We're just going to keep stunning him. The idea is just you keep throwing your nade every now and then, do a bit of damage for your nade. That's what you do. We'll do a super here, just to clear out the ads around the anti-barrier. Just makes it easy, because obviously the anti-barrier, what's he going to do? He's going to make all the ads immune. So once we take all the ads, we can then just take the anti-barrier with not a fuss. We didn't even need to do a healing rift there, really. There we go. Then pick up any ammo from each room. Proceed to the next room, always. It's very important. And this part's just clearing a couple of dregs, but we'll get to the next section where there's going to be 2 Overlord champions. Fallen ones. Just all fallen up. Until we get to the plate room. This Nightfall isn't too bad. It's just the ammo dump on it. Togetherness. If Togetherness wasn't on, it would be drastically different. You'd be seeing a lot more runs up. But because of that, it just makes it hard. Another thing is that it's new. People don't really know what the ad spawns are because there's so many waves of ads and stuff. But people aren't familiar with it as well. That's another thing. We're going to get a freeze here to then get the freeze to then spread out. We're going to get super energy in class. So energy off all that as well. At this point, it's just a primary battle. It's just primary in all the ads. And then the snipers, which are going to spawn in shortly, which you need to be aware of, which can be hard work. Mainly because they hide, of course. You know, you're going to put some ammo into them and they're going to hide. So that's the hardest thing about this section, but it's not too difficult. The key about it is not to skip ads, really. We could do that probably with a super and stuff, but there's 2 champions to kill. You want platinum, obviously we need to do that. This section, this is where the sniper's spawning at, so there'll be a couple on that bridge up ahead, and then we'll get our Overlord champion. What I advise you do before you anything is put a bit of damage into the Overlord champion, because what can happen is they teleport left and right, and say you're waiting to get a stun or something, and they fall off the map. If they fall off the map, which is actually pretty common from what I've saw, if they fall off the map and you haven't tagged them with any sort of damage at all, then you will not get platinum and you'll have to restart your run. So to avoid that, just put a pulse rifle burst into them. Just in case, because this particular champion can fall off that ledge. Like he'll jump up to this ledge where I am now, like so, and then he'll jump back down. He'll constantly doing sort of thing. If you're in doubt when you get your stun, just melt him. Whatever heavy you've got and stuff. Because heavy doesn't matter so much. You only use it when really you need it. You don't need to be spraying it a lot because your primary and Witherhoard does most of the work. Before we jump across, that's another thing as well. If you jump and a sniper hits you in midair, because of aerial damage is increased, that's a one-shot just about. Literally. So you want to be cautious of the ad spawns. The biggest thing with this whole thing is learning the ad spawn. Like when I jump across to this pillar here, what happens? Well, there's about 3-4 snipers, 2 snipers at the back that spawn in with the champion. So ideally you want to take the ads before the champion. And it all depends on how many ads that are up as well, because the champion can be more aggressive here. Like generally, if I take all the ads, the champion will spawn, will actually retreat a little bit, and will be less likely to be aggressive like so. And the reason why is because there's not enough ads down. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. And try to pick off any of the ads I can. There's 2 snipers at the back as well, which we need to be careful when we're jumping back, in case they catch us off guard. We haven't got much defense against the Fallen as well, because we're using void damage resistance. We've got the Concussive Dampener, but we haven't got arc damage resistance on, because the void damage is more important. Like because that's what's on. That's what's buffed against us, is void, not arc. If arc was buffed against us, then we'll be using arc. It's not. This is usually a good place to take this champ, but he's just being awkward. So, trying to take out the smaller ads. Try to get a stun, but he just teleports way out of it, so it can happen, as you can see. But what I will say is that this does not end up happening at the boss. Like, if you're missing a nade on a champ at the boss, like, especially where we're standing, it's nearly impossible to miss. Because the Minotaurs don't teleport like the captains do. So once you past sort of this is like the last overload. Once you're done with that, then you're good to go with stunning champs. Champions are never a problem after the anti-barriers. Obviously easy because we've got Witherhoard, Pulse on, Disruption Break, so they're just killed in 2 Witherhoard shots and 1 shield break, literally. So this is the last one. We're just going to wait up on our nade. But we found this is something I've done on the run. Obviously don't do it if the sniper's up, they're all down. This is a good place to take the champion if there's no ads, actually, because the champion has little to play with, little room. Obviously make sure you tag this champion as well, because he can fall off because of where we are. I mean, that's fine if you tag him and he falls off, you'll get points and he'll be dead. That's great. That's best case scenario if you have. We're going to time our nade on the next teleport. Now we teleport behind. We'll get that one. And we're just going to melt him down. As you saw, his health was fighting back a little bit, but it's not like how they would normally regen, because Stasis reacts differently with these champions, which is good. But it won't be that good when Thermal Overload goes. I don't see this being as good, as effective, because you know you don't get your nade back. So I would still say the whatever else is on offer that particular season is going to be better if there's no Thermal Overload, like the Stasis Overload. So with the plate mechanic we can do a healing rift and stuff, what have you. But when you get weak like that, you want to retreat to this area here. We got one shot, which was fine because we got Rift Energy back, as you saw. So the exotic helmet worked as intended. Why it's so good. Take out any remaining shanks. We can't do the plate in one go like I did on Well. It has to be bit by bit. Now the only thing that stopped me from getting the 100k on this particular run is speed. You need to do a lot more within the 2 times multiplier map. Okay. When you lose the 2, like I should be at the boss by 20 minutes, and I'm only just on the plate mechanic now. Well, that's what I would be with the best loadout, which is obviously Anarchy, what have you. Obviously, we took a lot longer because Overlord's jumping out of our nades, what have you. So. But this video isn't for the 100k really, it's for, well, how do you get platinum double loot? Because double loot's tied, it's not tied to 100k, 100k is just a Pinnacle Reward, that's nothing to do with your double loot. The double loot's tied to platinum and completion. So you get the double, it said last week you get the double loot for completing an Ordeal Nightfall and then double loot for platinum. People were confused because they thought that would mean times 4 loot. It doesn't mean times 4 loot. I don't know, that might have just been a typo, but basically double loot's on, but it doesn't really feel like it too much. I think I did get an Ascendant Shard and an Exotic on this run, so I guess that is kind of double loot. I don't know. I don't think so really, because obviously when we were doing Lake of Shadows, when that was double loot, everyone went crazy because last Nightfall, and you were getting reliably 2 Ascendant Shards. Not one run I've had 2 Ascendant Shards, not one of them. So it's not the best week. They haven't done it on the right week. They should have waited for a better week. They know, unless it's random. Well, actually, it won't be. They decide. So they should have waited. It's their fault. They should have waited for a better week to be farming Nightfalls, because no one's farming it. It's double loot. There's barely anyone farming it because it's such a long Nightfall. So with this room, adds work again on distance where you're standing. When you pass a certain part in the room, they spawn in. We're going to use the server. It's a good time to use it. We may as well. We can also take this solar shield easier, because we've got no solar on, but it's the only solar shield, so I don't mind using some heavy on that, you know, to take the heavy shank down quickly. This bit can be a bit annoying with the snipers. They'll hide a lot up top. There's usually 2 left, 2 right. And to get the ones on the left, you need to be on the right, and to get the ones on the right, you need to be on the left. So you need to get a good angle on them. Now you can get a lot of the ads from distance. Obviously the pulse rifle just does not have the range what a scout would, so it's a little bit more difficult. I mean, but this pulse is decent. It's got rangefinder, so it helps it out, but still. Scout would have been a little bit better, but we need the pulse on our barrier, so we must use it. We've got an anti-barrier champion here, which is just going to sort of wander. If you do get a good angle, you can stick him with a Witherhoard and then take him from distance, but if not, just leave the anti-barrier to sort of wander around. There's no sort of consistency with that champion. I say it seems to wander left to right. Sometimes it comes really close, sometimes not. Focus the snipers if you can, put damage in. Obviously when they're weak they're going to run away, that's just what they like to do. But pushing up any further than this can be dangerous, because the snipers on the right can get shots on you. We'll see end up happening. Also don't jump, like I jumped there, but the thing is, it's natural in a game to jump. This is a thing that I don't like the way the Nightfalls are going. I like making videos on them, but I don't like the way we're going with Nightfalls. Like the modifiers, it's always the same. Void, Arc Solar incoming, can't jump. Why? Why can't you jump? This game is based on movement and shooting. You are taking a mechanic out of the game by saying to a player, you can't jump in this activity. It's stupid. Grounded, or whatever we want to call it, that's what it is on every single Nightfall. I can understand maybe one of them comes up. Yeah, fair enough. It's on every one of them, like literally every one of them. So for me, well, not everyone, but most of them. For me, it's just annoying. Like, you should be rewarded for good movement, not going against it when you're trying to jump out of the way of ads. So it's something that they need to go back on. But the thing is, I know they won't, because too many people are enjoying the ordeal. Say what we want about them, but a lot of people watch Masters, Grandmasters. They watch it on YouTube. They watch people solo them on Twitch. They watch it. So we're our own worst enemies, because we know the Nightfalls aren't the best. They're not as good as they could be, but everyone's saying, okay, they're good. Bungie aren't going to touch. Bungie will never touch something that they think everyone. Well, generally they won't. Like if the consensus is that it's decent, they're not going to touch it, because it's less work then not to touch it. So we're our own worst enemies with it. I do think the Nightfalls aren't the best. We're double priming it, heavy. What is this? This is year 1, 2. We're going backwards, 2017. I mean, right now I have to, like, well, I'm not using double primer here, but I obviously was in previous run. But we're going backwards, definitely. But I guess they are seeing it in a sense, you know, by including the seasonal artifact mod. But they need to go further than that. They need to have a consistent thing where the way I say it is this: we have a ton of special weapons in the game that can't stun champions. Now this is some somebody said this to me and it made sense. Fusion rifles should overload champions because it's a burst. It's a fusion rifle, so it's a current wave that's overloading something, right? The fusion rifle overload. The shotgun is unstoppable, which we actually have that this season. Shotguns stop focus. It makes complete sense, right? So the shotgun and then sniper rifle anti-barrier. I don't know why no one's like bringing that up, because that's what it should be, and it shouldn't be seasonal. That's what it should be all the time. And if it means the champions are too hard at that, too easy at that point, because we've got on special weapons, buff their HP. But just make it so that like we can actually run mods on other things like special weapons and stuff, so that there's more options. Because all we're seeing with these Nightfalls is everyone's running the same loadout, literally, and it's making it boring. Yeah? Team play, there's a bit of room, leeway for that. Fine for team play, solo no. But anyways, when we're on to the run itself, we took down that fallen champion, which I waited for it to move left and right. The first wave of adds, which will explain the waves of adds. So this first phase is this. You'll get the Hydra. Now if you stand on this ledge here, you've got safety. It's not a cheese, but you have safety. And if you get one shot, you can do a healing. It's handy, this ledge, because you take out adds, you can do DBS to the Hydra. Now the adds are linked to the small Hydra that I'm killing right now. So the boss, forget about the boss. The boss is out there, boss, but the boss doesn't dictate adds. As you can see, I've got Vex reinforcements inbound and 2 champions cleared. Now there was already 2 champions, if you noticed, you're keen-eyed. That means there's 4 champions on the floor right now. There's 4 champions and a bunch of adds. Now you need to know what certain adds are coming when. The Rivens, or the big Vex dudes that do the Void, you need to know when they're coming. They come on the second phase of the fight and the last phase of the fight. So that's what you need to remember, because that's the most important thing. Because they are more dangerous than literally anything in this. Just because they're tracking on their Void seems to be very good. Like better than a champion. So you need to be cautious. Obviously champions are dangerous as well, they are. But not on this ledge they're not. You're going to see me easily take them out. And this is where the Stasis is going to show you with the Thermal Overload how good it is. So you'll have issues where the champions won't push you, but eventually they will. So we got one here, but we haven't got an overload nade, which we had used a nade at a point when we shouldn't have. That's fine. We don't end up doing it again. Anytime a champion will push you, it's an opportunity, and you can stun lock that champ there, because obviously when you get the champion half health, the champion wants to back up, but on the Stasis you can freeze them in place, which is great, ideal for this area here. There is the floor exploit as well. I'll just say that the floor exploit does not work with Witherhoard. From what I've found, it doesn't really work well. I wouldn't even bother going down there, you don't need it. Up here on the ledge is perfect. So we got a stun now, as you can see. We'll put a bit of heavy as well. Witherhoard. If you're going to do a stun like before the champion's killed, make sure that you know you're going to get it back. So obviously if you don't, you have to wait your grenade out again. That's the key with it. So I just like to do like a Witherhoard shot, a bit couple of primary, then another stun, and then another. Just keep doing it like that. And then when you're confident the champion's going to die, you can literally just primary. You can even do a melee on them. Okay, at this point I'm looking on my radar. You saw there's 2 red, so therefore there's the boss and then there's another ad. The other ad is more than likely a champion. I believe it took 3 out. So we're just looking now to bait the final champion. When you get down to the last champion, he always does this. They will hide behind the boss, essentially. But when you bait the champion, like so, I'm going to jump up here, get a stun, and then game over for the champion. You don't even need to use special as well. You can just keep nading and primary. It'll take longer, but you can. If you stay out of Witherhoard, you can still do it. Okay, that, and then now we can get on to DPS. So, the best place to do DPS is near the stairs here. Best place on the map, hands down, for it, because the boss can't really hit you. You take a bit of splash damage, but if you take splash damage, you're going to get low on health. You can get a healing refract, so it's good. Now we can spend a bit of Witherhoard. We're not going to be wasting too much. You want to just do a couple of Witherhoard shots and then up to your primary for additional damage. Like you can see, you can take a lot of splash, but you'll get your healing back. Like, this is what I consider the first phase still. If you break it up into 3 phases, but those 3 phases, if you like, have phases of their own. But this is the first major phase over with. As I said earlier, you've got to know what phase the Rivens come out, and that's the second major phase, and then the final major phase when they come out. So right now the Rivens are coming out, so we need to strategize for that. So what I do is I know exactly where the HP of the boss before he goes immune, i.e. when he triggers to go back to the realm or whatever it is. So we get him close to there, and then we're going to come to this location of the map. I quite like it, as it means we can sort of deal damage to the Rivens as they spawn, and a couple of adds, because there's 2 gates, there's one left and right, so if you're in a fire team, if you have people spawn these doors, then it's actually really good. I'm going to do a stasis nade because we don't really need our nade for this bit, because the champions have also switched. So we've been dealing with overloads, it switches from overload to anti-barrier, it never mix matches. But we've got 2 Rivens to take out, so we're just dealing with whatever we can damage wise. I'm going to use a super here because we've got it to burn, and it's just worth taking any of the Rivens down. Okay. We've also got anti-barriers, which we can take them now. We can either choose to take them now or later. I would suggest take them now rather than later, because you're just going to end up having 4 anti-barriers rather than 2. So what's easier, 2 or 4? Well, you can make it work with 4. You can still do it, this strat what I'm doing right now, but they're here to kill. And what I didn't mention is the small Hydra is actually looking for us inside to my left. The Hydra doesn't come to this location, which is handy, so therefore we can safely take out any champs on this side, which is why I'm here. Hydra's there, didn't really know where we was. Which it's just funny, the AI, like AI of all the enemies in this strike, it's funny because when you're in the enclosed areas, right and left, they know where you are. Like especially if you're on the floor. But when you're outside on like the outer edges, they sort of lose track of you, so it's kind of weird how they react. Bunch of arc harpies, which is main reason why I've got the pulse on. But we have to, because there's too many arc harpies to take. Put some damage into the Hydra. Like I said, the adds are dictated by the Hydra, so when the Hydra gets half health, there'll be another spawn, and that'll be another 2 anti-barriers, and there'll be 2 more Rivens, I believe. Well, so that's a good way. It's a good way of doing this, because if I'd melted the Hydra down, then you get 4 Rivens and 4 anti-barriers all at once. Whereas if you do it like this, you break it up. So you don't do any DPS to Hydra. You take out the Rivens, you use a super, then you take out the 2 champions if you can. Champions aren't so bad, the anti-barriers, they'll hide, but mainly the Rivens. And then when you get the additional spawn like so, tells you at the left hand side, you can break it up. Now, if you haven't got a server, a good place to stand, I'm going to show, because the Rivens can melt us up here, and our reason for that is because if a Riven sees us on this ledge and does their attack twice, that's a death, because of splash damage. It'll hit the wall behind us and kill us. So we have to be careful. This place isn't safe so much where I am when the Rivens attack. but there is a way of getting around it which will go on. The Rivens don't come in though sometimes if there's plenty of champions outside, so you just gotta play it really. If you hide in this little hole here, you can sort of Witherhoard and then jump down, which you see we do more often on the final section, final wave of ads. I missed my Witherhoard shot, so I just jumped to safety just in case Riven isn't pushing that. I'm constantly looking at my radar when this is all going fast. If you want to freeze them as well, it's highly beneficial. It just stops them from doing their attack, so it's really handy. Plus we get that Whisper of Hedrons going. We're in a good position just to take this champion, so we may as well. I wasn't expecting it, but we'll take it. Mistime my Witherhoard here. Fine. And you saw that I only had 9 in the mag, so 9 in the mag literally with the pulse. In effective range will take the shield, so really good that way. Take the champ, the other champs are down there. We'll just take the RPs first. Like so, and then we can take the champions from a different range. I'm not going to take them from here though. I usually take them from a place where we can sort of head glitch, sort of completely avoid their attack, which is on this ledge here. If there was 3 or 4 champions I wouldn't do this, but only 2, so they're not going to jump up. They're just going to sit on that floor, which is good. Obviously we do a healing as well, just in case we end up taking more splash damage. We'll do a melee to get the Whisper of Hedrons rocking. And we can just, that's your whole idea of it. Just Witherhoard, swap to your primary, take shield, swap back. Usually 2 Witherhoard shots and a shield break per anti-barrier. The same thing again, we're going to try and spawn kill any ads that we can on the portals. Obviously we can't do left and right, really, same time. Now we're switching back to Overload champion. Looking for, so there's an Overload right there. Obviously, we do end up getting a stun here because, well, we do end up getting it, but he's off, to be honest. Now, I'm looking at my radar and seeing it's add to my right, so I don't want to jump down and take increased damage in aerial. So I just chose to let the champion go. Sort of thing, because he's gonna fully regen now. So we'll just reset at that and wait for another opportunity. The ads will slowly push us in here. So there's a bunch of fanatics and goblins. That's literally it. This phase isn't threatening, but the Overload champions have a thing with not pushing you at times. Eventually we get a good stun, so we've got a good stun here. Use a bit of Witherhoard stunning them. He's regenerating, but it's slowly. Witherhoard's fighting against it. Get it. Now there's only 2 champions on this wave, so we're safe to take the last champ on the floor. We'll do a healing reef. Get a stun. Easy enough because they're just gonna rush to us. We'll use a bit of heavy, worth doing. Now what happened here is a lot of fanatics pushed me from behind. That was fine. I was keeping an eye on it, heard them. And that's that, and then back to damage. So we go back to the stairs. We've got plenty of Witherhoard ammo. You want quite a bit. Not so much, I guess. I mean, like I say, it's 2 Witherhoard shots per anti-barrier. There's at least 4 more to go. Some more Overload as well. You get immune, retreat. Again, on this particular phase, we're still classing this as the main second wave, like the second phase of the whole thing. There's no Rivens, it's just 2 overloads and a bunch of adds. So what we're trying to do here is bait in the overload, which far one was wanting to. I could see him on my radar over the far side, but it wasn't gonna. So your best bet is to sort of jump down and up between this middle lane here and just take out any adds you can. Just be careful of the flanks though, always. That's the strat where you can just do Witherhoard and jump back up. Okay, now one of the chance pushers, so we can get him. Once we take this one, we can then jump on the floor. We've got a healing leaf, and we can take the one on the floor. Usually. Fine, we'll do a healing, because the overload will bait the overload to us, which he will when he starts teleporting a lot. Get us on the floor like earlier. We're going to jump up as well, just so he doesn't he can sometimes melee you a lot between stuns, so get out of it. But this champ's sort of edging, even though he's teleported, even though he's stunned, right? So jump down just to finish. Always be aware of what ammo's on the floor, so I see that there's some heavy for me, there's plenty of special, so I'm good. I'm great for the final phase. We'll just bait the boss to our stair section, like always. And then on the final phase, like I said, there's going to be Rivens. There's going to be Rivens, and there's going to be 4 anti-barriers in total. In total, for the full boss fight, as I said, there's 16. So that's just why Witherhoard goes so far in terms of ammo-wise. We're going to do the same thing as well. We've edged the boss where we want, for HP-wise. That way, when we get the ad spawn, we're in a good location just to do a couple of Witherhoard shots at the port, at the teleporter. You'll get 2 Rivens first, and then you'll get the 2 additional Rivens when you take damage off the Hydra. But if you can try to kill the 2 Rivens first, or damage of the Hydra, that's ideal, but it all depends on what the Riven's going to do. This Riven pushed in the middle area, so I'm just going to use my super now. Not safe. If I didn't use my super there, that would have been a wipe. The Riven would have killed me. A splash damage off the wall would have killed me. I was half health at the top. So, sort of important. That's why we sort of had a super for that. You know, we're not using super for damage. Not really good anyways for that. We're using it for critical points like that. So we took 4 Rivens down, I believe, or we got 1/2. First one, I can't mind if we killed the first one. So we're just being cautious of what on, because that's our next spawn. So there's 4 anti-barriers now outside. There's 2 more Rivens to come. We end up utilising this window. As you can see, the Riven's there, so we need to jump. We'll guide away. If we stand in this window here, the Riven will sort of hang around that area, meaning the Riven can't really shoot you somewhere. So we can then, therefore, nade and use Witherhoard. Like so. And it just makes easy work of it then. Take out any ads. Right, there's some in that middle hallway as well. I wasn't sure while doing it at the time, couldn't mind how many were left. I think there's one or two at this point. But that's important to know, and the reason why, because the Riven can just teleport on you nowhere and just take you out. So it's very important to know. There's anti-barriers here that we could have took. We had good angles on both of those, but like I wasn't wanting to start doing that, then get teleported on. I'm sure there's definitely one left, which now the Riven pushing us, as you can see. We're gonna do a Witherhoard shot and then round this corner, and we're gonna do a healing, we're not messing around with it. It's a bit heavy. Or it'll burn out Riven. Easy done, that's it. No more Riven. So now all we've got is the boss. This is what was hard. This is harder than what we were doing earlier with the anti-barriers. Because now you've got 4 anti-barriers to deal with the boss shooting it as well. So it's a lot to deal with. But you can make life easier by getting good angles. This is a very good angle right here. This particular lane. I like this lane better than the other lane, because the other lane has the Vex white stuff, whatever, where you take tick damage off. On this side there isn't any, and the boss just sometimes doesn't know what to do, whether to push you. Like, as you can see, the boss isn't firing at me. That's great. It's free opportunity for me to take out these anti-barriers, which is easy enough, as long as they don't sort of go to cover, as I'm, you know, doing without it. So I can get a shield there. Obviously we have to constantly be looking at our health, and my health's below half. I'm aware of it. If we get any weaker than that, we're gonna get our rift anyway. We've got the shield break. Disruption break will finish off that champ, and it just makes easier work with them. We could have even supered them as well. We didn't, but we could have. Obviously we need to kill these. If you kill the boss before killing the anti-barriers, you're not going to get platinum. So you must do it. And I know it is a long run as it is, but it's just one of them things. We've got plenty of ammo to finish the boss off as well. There's a ton of heavy out there, so we're going to use our super, which isn't great. It isn't the best thing for DBS now, but we're going to use it. We've got it to burn. But while we're doing that, we can pick up ammo safely, sort of thing. And abuse that. Wasn't sure how much damage distance I would get in my super, which wasn't a lot because of the void damage buff, you see. But we got the heavy anyways. Do a reward shot, run off. Go back to our DPS place, and then we'll finish the fight off. As you can see, I've lost around 40,000 points. I had about 120,000, something like that. Because of the run, it takes so long. The 100k is actually really hard to solo this week. Generally, the Master 100k is easy. Generally, it's Legend that's hard, but this particular week, it's just there's so much. But this video is just for the platinum anyways, and also we're using a loadout that's pretty slow but consistent. You know, consistent damage, you can take out all the champions. And obviously you've got infinite healing, so it is the best way to do it without anarchy, for sure. That was the run, hope you enjoyed, thank you.